This is the Gatekeepers Podcast with Billy Grove. Billy is an innovative leader in the industry and loves teaching how to build quality fence. So sit down, grab a cold beverage, and get ready to talk about fence. Today's show is sponsored by Mr. Fence Academy. If you're looking to hit the next level in your fence company, check out Mr. Fence Academy. And now, live from the Mr. Fence Academy studios, here's your host, Billy Grove.
Man, where did that come from?
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool, huh? What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Fence Fam? What's going on, Facebook? The Gatekeepers here. I am up. It's going to play again. My bad.
This is the Gatekeepers Podcast with Billy Grove.
All right. Well, yeah, there we go. My name is Billy Grove, and this is
Corey Gentry. How you doing?
All right. And we are the Gatekeepers. And tonight we have a very special guest, Mr. David Gatto. Before we get to him, though, we're going to do our normal, how was your week?
Dude, my week has actually been pretty awesome. I can't lie at all. It's been good. Weekend before last, I took my oldest son hunting. He dropped his first doe, so that was awesome. I got to take it. I managed to take a 6 points, so it was a fun time. Got a lot of cool photos. Him and I got to share that. This past weekend, I took one of my twins to the arcade, and that little joker won one of those like 10,000 ticket things, and he could literally pick anything he wanted on the entire wall, and still had 5,000 tickets left over.
That's awesome, man. That's great.
Fun. That was a good weekend.
That's awesome. Yeah. We had a pretty chillax weekend. Saturday didn't really do much. And then Sunday was the Super Bowl, watched the Super Bowl, and then went to bed and then went back to work. And today was my first fence wash in like a year and a half, man.
Dude, yeah, that was pretty cool.
I'm way out of practice. I'm not even gonna lie. It will. Well, I realized that without my chemical sprayer, I was like 4 times as slow. With the pump sprayer, I was like halfway through, and I was like, man, with my chemical card, I would have been done by now. But is what it is. So let me go ahead and drop our social media thing, guys. If you would do us a favor and go to gatekeepers.com. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. There we go. Gatekeeperpodcast.com. I think I just clicked it. No, I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. That one right there. Gatekeeperpodcast.com. Give us a like, a subscribe, follow. There's also the merchandise store. There's every way to watch, to listen, anything that you want to find us on. You can find us right there at gatekeeperpodcast.com. And without further ado, we are going to go ahead and bring our guest on, Mr. David Gatto.
Yo, what's up, guys?
How we doing, Mr. David? How we doing tonight?
Oh, man, I can't complain.
Mr.
Awesome.
David, my friend, how are you doing, sir? It's been a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, man. It's good. It's good to be on here. It's good to see you guys. I like the format. I like the show. It's very professional, and your room looks exactly like mine somehow.
I know,
identical,
right? I know,
except for the Mr. Fence thing in the back.
Yeah. No, I was gonna actually go with green tiles, but then after I talked to Sean and we got sponsored, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with the blue. And I had already seen like some of your stuff, so I was like, I'm gonna be looking just like Mr. Gatto in the background.
Yeah, awesome,
right,
man.
Right.
What we always,
awesome.
Even in the fence world, trying to be like Mr. Gatto. Even now in the podcast world, trying to be like that.
There we go. How was your week, Mr. Gatto? I know you've been busy.
It's been good. It's been good. I think I got a little bit sick yesterday. I was out riding my 4-wheeler at night after I got out of the shower in a t-shirt and sandals on and, buzzing through a field at 40 miles an hour. And I'll tell you what, I woke up in the morning and I felt like I got hit by a truck. Right. So I'm recuperating from that now. But other than that, I mean, the week's great. I mean, business is good. Business is booming right now. We're getting into the salmon season. It's about to happen in March. That's when the big rush initially happens. And, we're geared up for that. And, I mean, it feels like it already started, but we're off to a really good start, man. I mean, better than I deserve. I'll put it to you like that.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear, man. That's awesome to hear.
Salmon season. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
yeah, that's a salmon rush, boy. The March comes around, and the phones are going to be ringing off the hook.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Well,
I'm picking up on it now, dude. That way, both of our heads are
Yeah,
more
yeah.
now.
yeah, dude, I thought you were talking about like legit fishing for a minute. I was like,
Oh,
oh man,
yeah.
it's coming. That sounds fun.
That's what happens. We talked to a bunch of guys from Florida where it's fishing year round. It's like, what up there?
Yeah, salmon season. We don't have salmon here, so I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah, the rush is coming. I mean, historically, everything picks up in March, right? The numbers get tripled, and once you start looking at your YOYs, your year over year, you start to pick up on these things.
And that right there, you just heard why Mr. Gatto is Mr. David Gatto. This boom right there in the YOY.
Right.
Second, what some people have never heard of is second nature language.
Yep, absolutely. Well, shoot, I mean, we're just gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna take the first one. All right, David. So you've told your story on a couple different podcasts, so I'm not gonna go down that whole route again. I've heard it. It's a phenomenal story. Every time I listen to it, it's like the first time I've heard it, but I'm sure the majority of our listeners like I've heard it. So that being said, being in business, we all make mistakes, right? What's one of the mistakes that you have made that you turned around to a monumental success after you corrected the wrong?
And that's a hard question because, we learn from our mistakes, and I've made a lot of mistakes, whether they be hiring mistakes, tax mistakes, operational mistakes. And took big monetary losses. The ones that cost you a lot of time and money, those are the ones that that you really learn those lessons, right? And believe it or not, probably my biggest one came this year, well, in 2023, right? Where we were heavy in the supply game, supplying a lot of different companies. We had some advertising going on Google AdWords, and we were attracting traffic in. But what we did attract was credit card fraud, right? And so somebody put in, we were using QuickBooks as a processor at the time, which we dropped them. But what happened is these guys had thousands of skimmed credit card numbers. They put the credit card in the machine, it gets skimmed, right? So these guys were calling up my sales guys, putting in phone sales. And my salesmen, they wanted to push the sales through. I mean, it sounded good. These were big orders, and so they were pushing them through. So they sold 13 orders, right? So anyways, the money goes through, it's deposited in our account. It sits for about a week. Everything's good. And, they start coming and picking up these orders. And there's various different vehicles coming. I mean, there's box trucks, there's towing companies coming, concrete companies, hauling. These are all like independent contractors. Right. So they pick all this stuff up. Well, the next month turns in that cycle, and we started getting chargebacks. Right. And so we got 13 chargebacks totaling over $50,000, because people started getting their credit card statements back. They're like, wait a second.
Right.
I'm in Florida, and this, I didn't order a fence from Pennsylvania. Right. So it was a complete loss. Right. We had everything on camera, but the people who picked the stuff up, they were paid with fraudulent credit cards as well. And they just dropped the stuff off in different locations, New York, New Jersey. They were in Maryland, Virginia. So we tracked them down, and it turns out there's an exclusion on our insurance policy that says that if we willingly give material up, being if there was deception or trickery used, we're excluded, right? So the insurance company wouldn't do nothing. And we had a max wholesale endorsement, the top of the line possible business insurance that you can have, right? And it still was excluded, right? So we worked at the police department, and the police department, they came down, did a report, the detectives were there, and they told us straight up. They said, listen, unless this is a homicide, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, these guys aren't going to work with us. So we're just writing this up so that you can get an insurance claim, which the insurance claim got thrown out. And then, so, we tried the FBI. The FBI said it needs to be 100,000 for us to get involved. So we learned a really big lesson there, right? Not to get caught up in the emotion, not to get caught up in the sale, but follow the process, scrutinize, have them fill out a vendor packet, have them, include their social security number, their EIN number, their business address, a copy of their ID, right? Before they can do a phone sale. So we learned a really important lesson for that. And we really turned it around, right? I mean, our staff got stronger. We tightened up our operations and, I can remember that, we were in the dumps, right? Because we had bought in, we paid $100,000 cash for a Moffett truck and bought some more sales vehicles and another van. And, you know, um, so our cash flow was down. And we decided to give, right? We said, you know what? It's easy to give when we have abundance, but let's give when we don't have nothing, right? And let's see how that comes around. So we had a very successful Toys for Tots drive.
I
And it
remember
just
that.
turned
I
out
saw
to,
that. I saw
yeah, and
that.
it's gonna be huge this year, right? So we turned a negative into a positive, and we tightened up our team, but that was probably the biggest single loss, that we had taken in business. And so, it goes like this, right? You pay for your education one way or the other, whether if it's in college or whether, it comes in the form of a $50,000 loss, right?
Ooh, I
Right.
like that. Yes, sir.
Right. Right. And I guess they both cost about the same amount of money. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
so is what it is on that one.
Man, that's right there. There's something else to start thinking about.
Yeah.
Get back in mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start going and getting that road in distribution, and where you start going into resale. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
there's predators out there for sure.
that's a scary thing right there.
All right, so I'll change this up a little, Mr. Davis. So you and I have talked quite extensively in the past.
Absolutely.
For about a year and a half now, off and on, I've hit you up for various things, and of course, on a personal side, I've always appreciated that, especially when I broke my leg a couple months ago. You were definitely somebody to kind of lean on and had questions on how to fix stuff and how to make things happen. So, on a personal note, absolutely appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And this question kind of goes into what you were helping me with there for a while. Knowing that you run a subcontract model, you don't have any in-house crews. Was there ever a point where you did have in-house crews? And what was that deciding? And if you did, what was that deciding factor where you wanted to switch and you became an all subcontract model?
Yeah,
Good
absolutely.
question.
Good question. So at the time we had 4 crews running out there, with crew leads and stuff like that. We had the Bobcats, the MTs, the trailers, the 1-ton trucks, all that stuff going out there. And, we started to really hone in our marketing and our sales process, right? So the leads really started coming in and we ramped things up in sales and we started selling a lot of fence, right? And I mean, just an astronomical amount. And our crews couldn't keep up with this, right? And so, we started to get so pushed back on the schedule. So this was out of necessity. This happened in the beginning. We started to get, 12, 16, 18 weeks out and the estimates were becoming irrelevant, right? Because people didn't care about our reputation. They didn't care about the price.
Right.
Some people did, but the majority no. They want what they want and they want it now, right? So we started to get really pushed back. And, we said, hey, we got to hire subcontractors, right? So we started vetting and we started hiring subcontractors to do the work. And the production floor really got ramped up. So now the production guys can't keep up with all the production, with the CNC machines in there, the cut tables, they're bundling,
Mhm.
banding orders, keeping inventory, weighing stuff, taking pictures, all this stuff's happening in there. And so what we did is we pulled all of our in-house crews in, right? And put them in the production floor, turned another one into a salesman, an outside sales rep, and then another inside sales rep, right? So we brought all of our crew in. Now, some people didn't like that, right? And some people left. So, that's what happens, right? Some people don't like change. And so all of our in-house crews came in-house to work on the production floor, right? And so we're hiring the subcontractors. They're out there doing the work. We're ramping up the production. And along the way, we ran into a lot of problems with subcontractors that we had to iron out. A lot of costly things had happened, right? And a lot of, different things that you can imagine going wrong with people cutting post off, fences were blowing over, all types of different things that we had dealt with. But it was out of necessity that we had the subcontracting crews brought in because it is so much easier to scale, right? By hiring companies who already have crews. They're vetted, they're trained, they got trucks, they got MTs, they got their own insurance. So our liability insurance went way down, our workers' comp went way down.
Right.
Because there's less exposure. Our guys are in the warehouse, they're not leaving. And so we really started to dial it in and see the benefits of what was happening. We were able to control our prices a lot more as well. Our profits, we no longer have to do a P&L. We know exactly what we're going to make, right? So we were able to scale much, much quicker. And we just had to get really good at vetting these crews, right? At being able to judge, is this a good company? Is this a good contract? Are these guys on drugs? What kind of truck do they got out there? What kind of machinery do they got? What kind of reputation do they got? And, so there's a whole bunch of stuff that we could talk about that goes along with that, but that is our model. So we have, 14 different sub crews that run out there, and we
Okay.
have one warranty rework team, right? So the warranty rework team has a van. It's completely fitted out. They can do anything to a fence, and it's just basically support for our subcontractors. So if there's some caps that blew off, the van will go out there, it'll fix it. If it's a gate that needs adjusted, if there's a post that'll plumb, if something was left there that needs to be cleaned up, so there's support for the subcontracting crews, and then we have a project manager that goes out. They get eyeballs on the job. They get a list of all the active installations happening. They go out there. They meet with the customers. They meet with the contractors. They just give an overview, make sure everything's running smooth, and just so that things are being installed to our standard, right?
Outstanding.
That's awesome.
I can only imagine the amount of trial and error putting all of those pieces of that puzzle together to make it work. All the different, you know what I mean? Just that's impressive, Mr. David.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of trial and error. And there's a lot of, legalities too that you got to be careful of, right? Because, you got to have subcontractor agreements in place, because if you don't, workers' compensation, they're going to audit you and they're going to say, hey, where's your subcontractor agreement for these subs? These guys are employees. You're treating them in the capacity of an employee. So therefore, we technically insured them while they were out there, right? And so they want to circle back around, which I was sued twice by the workers' compensation department. And that's so I learned how to really structure a subcontractor agreement, and, you got to get a packet to hire these guys. You got to get a W-9, get their EIN, get all this stuff on file, copy of their driver's license. You want your certificate of insurance, their COI, and you want to be added as an additional on it. So there's rules to the game. And as long as you follow the rules, you're good.
It absolutely, whenever I had my injury and, we're talking about going into the subcontract model, it's amazing how much more it is in depth, and you're still chasing. I say chasing. You still have the issues like you were talking about. You have the in-house crew that is just a repair truck. Like what happens whenever a subcontractor does not quite meet up to the end of the bargain that requires a callback? What happens to that? Is there a penalty involved? Is like once or twice, like accidents happen, or is it is there penalties? What do you guys do for that?
Yeah, and there's stuff outlined in our subcontractor agreement about that. But here's the reality, right? Sometimes a subcontractor go out there and make a very costly mistake, right? And they're not a big company like you, so they can't afford to go out and fix it. So what they do is they run, right? And they the phone goes off, they don't talk to you no more, and you're out, $15,000, $20,000, and the whole job got to be ripped out and has to be redone. So, there's a couple things you could do. It's only ever worked out for us once. One thing you want to review on your certificate of insurance with these subs, you want to make sure that they do not have an exclusion for faulty workmanship, right? Because we were able to recoup the material money because they had a faulty workmanship endorsement on their insurance. But other than that, other than taking these guys to court and suing them when something happens, which is pretty much fruitless, being that most of them are broke, we just stop using them, right? And we'll chalk it up. And so we try to mitigate this with the superintendent, right? They go out there, they check on the job, they make sure the post, because we had issues where, subs cut the post off. We had 3 fences blow over. These guys, gave us a message. Hey, we're going out of business. By the way, I took a job at UPS. We went after his insurance company. We got paid for that. But yeah, so there's really not much you can do except saying, hey, you suck. You're not working for us no more. Go get a job somewhere else. And that's what it comes down to sometimes.
Nice. Nice. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right?
You got to.
That is the policies and procedures, man. Policies and procedures.
I'm actually skipping.
So I think I have my question a little background or like a little backwards because I caught it whenever you were explaining. But basically, when did you start not just getting into retail, but CNCing or manufacturing of your products and vinyls and aluminums? And tell me a little bit about that process, because I've heard some stories of you in there with like a hand router, and now I see you guys are like multiple CNC machines.
Dave, didn't you used to have a jig that was made of like 2x4s?
Yeah, we had a jig that was. We still have it in there. It's a cut table now. But like, it was another thing out of necessity, right? Because our warehouse had 5 companies in it. Actually 6, and we effectively all 6 companies are gone now. We have the whole place, right? So we originally got part. It was a tire shop, right? And so I got this tire shop, and I'm like, this shop has got to pay for itself. I said, this is expensive. I said, what can we do here? Right. And then I got the idea. I said, well, we could probably, I started looking at these other fence companies, and I'm like, where are they getting this shit from? You know what I mean? I'm like, because we're buying job lots and stuff. I didn't really understand the game. And then I said, they must be getting this stuff from somewheres. Right. And then so I made a bunch of phone calls. I found out all the politics that are involved, and, going to distributors directly, and, I'm going to, people that have exclusivity terms. Right. And so anyways, I buy lineals, right? Because I do the math, right? And I say, you know what? I could save an astronomical amount of money on our fence if we're even involved in just cutting the stuff and routing these posts. I said, how hard could it be to route these posts, right? And so we started doing the math on everything, and that was our first thing. We built tables in there, a very big carpeted table to build gates on, and a very long table that we cut holes in it, and we had these blocks that would come down, and we would take a hand router and go in there and cut these things. It was terribly painful. And then we got a table CNC, which really wasn't for the fence industry. And we had to learn geometric code and, XYZ access and write these very long programs using Word that would cut all these profiles for us. So we started getting heavy into it, and then we got an SSD machine, and then we just started, getting more parts of the warehouse. Then we got a 10,000 square foot spot, which was a power washing company beforehand. Then we got a tractor trailer inspection station. We turned that into a showroom. And then, we just found out ways to utilize this. Then we said, wait a second, we're making all this fence for ourselves. Why can't we sell it to other fence companies like they used to sell to us? We're buying, 53-foot tractor trailer loads, and we're getting good price. Let's start a program where we reach out and cold call these other fence companies and go meet them, right? Go bring them coffee. Just do the things that were done to us, right? And do it to them now. And it worked out really well, and so, honestly, if we were to be buying job lots from a company, they wouldn't be able to keep up with us, and so it's out of necessity that we have to do all these orders in-house, right? And it opened up a lot of opportunities, and got me into the part that I really love. I love the manufacturing aspect. I love lean production, and implementing all this stuff. It's just so fun. And it changed us. It changed who we are, and how we think, and changed us as people,
Right.
I think that is just really cool, man. That's definitely where I think more so is getting away from the installation side of things and into distribution and into more of like the showroom stuff like you're talking about. That definitely seems more appealing, more appetizing. That seems like all right, cool. I've done the install game for 5-6 years now. Like, cool. Like, what's it's always like, what's next? Like, what's around the corner? That's something that's always been very appealing to me.
Well, yeah,
Exactly what you're talking about right there is why
absolutely.
it's kind of the mindset. It's why am I in competition with all these other people whenever I can make all these other people my customers?
Right.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you know what? It comes down to this, right? You got to think in these terms, right? At some point, you got to stop thinking like an employee and you got to start thinking like a CEO, right? And you got to tell yourself the cold, hard facts, right? That whenever you're out in the field personally installing or making a sale, you are going backwards. Now, I understand we got to start there, right? But you got to stay in that mind frame and you got to pull yourself out of that because I put it to you like this, right? It's like a boat, right? Like a ship, right? And the captain of the ship, something goes wrong with the motor down there. The captain does not leave and go down there and start tinkering with the motor, right? Because the ship will just start floating around all over the place, right? He's got to direct the ship. He's got people that go down there and work on that motor. So you're the captain of the ship, man. So you got to keep yourself out of the field, work on your business and not in your business. You got to think like a CEO, and delegate things, automate things, eliminate things, right? Because, you know, can you imagine if I was out in the field, and I got 14 crews out there installing, not all at once all the time, but, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's salesmen at doors. There's outside sales, visiting other businesses. I could never do that. Right. So I
Right.
would have never grew. Right. I would have did $1 million. Right. I know what I could do out there running crews in the field. Right. And it's not a lot. It's not.
Right. Right. And that's what we're trying to grasp and slowly
Get into.
crawl and just scratch to get to right now. It's just like every time we're like, all right, yeah, we don't have to build a fence. And
Boom, building a fence. Damn it.
well, hey, we've done good. There's been multiple weeks where we have not touched a single tool.
That is very
That's
true.
good.
We can't lie. We
Not
can't
every
lie.
week,
And
but
we're still in the baby beginning stages of it.
100%.
And so like, yeah, there might be a time where we have to build 1 or 2 fences a week, and I'm all right with that. But no more of this 4 and 5 a week for us. Like that's out the window. So we're
Honestly, if it's not a driven job, we're
yeah.
subbing it out.
Oh,
If it's not like an in and out, like an I-beam or a postmaster, something that Billy can knock out in a day, you know what I mean, with the helper, then we'll sub out all the concrete jobs where we're at, kind of dipping our toes in that subcontract model and wanting to teach other crews around here as well how to do like the driven post, where we can teach them to elevate and hopefully try to just
not just that, but the more of these guys around town that are doing this, the easier it's going to be to sell. Because
Oh yeah.
it's not going to be just 3 or 4 of us. Because I know there's now probably 4 of us who are driving post around
there's
town.
about 4 in town.
Four, maybe 5, but 4 for sure.
It's a
And
market dominating position too. Differentiates you.
yeah. And well, yeah, I know, but not just that, but like the more people that are talking about it at quotes and estimates, the easier it is going to be for us to sell. And it's not a hard product to sell at the end of the day. But like I had one sub reach out last night for some vinyl product he just wanted to buy. And he was like, I'm thinking about driving this. And I was like, look, you pay me X amount of dollars, I'll come train you and your crew to drive this job and then start selling them. That way the word gets spread throughout the entire city. And that's kind of where I'm at it, like with it right now.
Again, if we can just start selling these people of vinyl and start making that part of the subcontract and distribution game, kind of start tying itself together to where we can not only do for ourselves but for others. And I think it's
Well, I mean,
what do you think? I know you and I've talked about it, plentiful in the past, but anyway. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this podcast stuff, man.
Oh, you're good, brother. You're good, brother.
My second, third time doing it. So.
Yeah.
Third time, man. Third time's a charm, right?
But
Yeah,
well, anyway, moving on a little bit, and all this goes in the hand. Preaching policy, process, and procedures. This is a question that I was really interested in. If you had to do it all over again, and I'm not this, just if you had to do it all over again, knowing what you know now, what would be probably one of the very first things that you would implement to make to get this thing going? If you had to start all over from square one, what is Mr. David Gatto going to do to set himself up for success? Got a lot of people look at you as a mentor, as a motivator, somebody who's big in the industry and who is not just in the fence world, but also in your personal world. What is going to be your first step to make your life easier?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, knowing it took me 5 years to hit 1,000,000, right? And it took me 5 years to figure this out. And you know, I know the game now, right? So I could go out of business today, right? And I could
Yes,
start
sir.
up in another industry and probably any industry. I'm not trying to sound cocky, but I'll make 1,000,000 my first year, right? Because I know marketing, I know sales, I know how to systems and processes. I know how to streamline stuff. I know how to work from the neck up, right, and not the neck down. You get paid more for working from the neck up, by the way. And so, like,
Yes, sir.
there's some of
I like that
the thing
analogy.
that absolutely,
Yeah.
it's 100% true. And the first thing that I would do is I would take myself out of the field. It wasn't until I did that that I truly started to grow, right? I would get myself out of there. And like I said, I would work from the neck up, right? I would call other fencing companies or other subcontractors who are subbing for other fence companies, find out how much they were making and pay them more, right? And then they would come over to me and I would sell these jobs and I would factor in, hey, here's my pricing for a panel, a post, concrete. Here's what I'm paying my subcontractors, and here's what I need to make, right? So I would
Mhm.
structure my sales out to pay for those subcontractors and get the profits that I needed to get, right? And then I would do that first, right? Because the selling part is easy. So once I go sell the job, I'd sub it out, right? And then naturally, I would just keep building on that. I would get a salesman to take my place, and I would start working the office again, and then I would get somebody in the office to take my place, and so on and so forth, right? And it's a game of delegating, right? And knowing when to hire somebody and saying, hey, it comes down to this, like, can I support this person in a career, right? And you got to know your numbers, right? You got to know, like, hey, each employee should be producing around $500,000 a year, right? So if you're making $1,000,000 a year and you got 2 employees, you're doing good right there. Once you fall below that number, you're doing bad, right? So, I mean, the first thing I do, just to sum it up, man, I get out of the field, right? ASAP, right? Because it's not hard to get the subs. All you got to do is find out what the other companies are pay them more, and they'll leave, right? Period. And then you treat them better, right? If you stiff them on a couple things on accident, you send your van out there to bring them. Don't worry about it. Don't come back to the shop. I got you, right? And just offer them amenities that these other companies weren't offering in addition to the pay, and you'll keep them, right? So it's not hard to get. So, taking yourself out of the field is a mental mindset thing. And a lot of people don't do it because they allow fear to stop them, right? And once the fear gets into their head, that transforms their whole world around them, right? They don't want to take the risks that it takes to get to to break through those limitations of character and those fears that you had before. You got to take the plunge. And a lot of people, they're just not going to do it, right? And you're going to wonder why you're 8 years in and you're still only doing 1,000,000 or 2,000,000, right? And you're not hitting 8 figures, right? And you're going to wonder why, because, you got to let go of the fear.
That's awesome.
I feel like I got to sit through one of your speeches, one of your presentations. That was.
So
it.
I'm
It's the
going
truth,
to
though.
segue right into your consulting company of the Let Go
to grow.
Let
Let go
Go
to
to
grow.
Grow.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about that, because I've been watching your journey and you doing public speaking outside of the fence world, and honestly, I am extremely proud of you, even though I don't even like really know you, but like I love the fact that you're going and giving others light, even though it's not in the fence industry, and that's something that I like as well. So tell us just a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the name, Let Go to Grow. What does that mean, right? That means that when I picked that name, Let Go to Grow, right? That is specifically in telling people and coaching people on how to step into that CEO role and out of the field, right? Because there's a whole lot of over information on there, how to be a, programs on how to be a better installer. Like, I don't care about that, right? I'm not an installer no more, right? So I want to focus on putting people in a position to where their business is automated, right? And it runs without their presence like mine does, right? So that's the transition that I help people make, right? And that's where I got the name Let Go to Grow. And in specific, who I look for, and this is stuff that I became very, very good at. I look for manufacturing concerns. I look for people who are into fabricating, who are into manufacturing things, right? Because I have honed in my processes so good with inventory control, just-in-time inventory, spaghetti diagrams, right? Systems and processes, standard operating procedures. I can come into a warehouse and I can look around and say, okay, there's $750,000 worth of loss a year, right? Look at all that inventory this guy's keeping. His inventory, it's turning once a year. Why does he have $3 million worth of inventory here, right? Boom, there goes a percentage right there. Or why is his CNC machine all the way over here and he's grabbing material all the way from over here? These guys are literally traveling football fields for no reason. And being able to come in and see those things and shadow boards and being able to rearrange a warehouse, that's the stuff that I'm good at. So I look specifically for manufacturing concerns. That's who I work with, right? And that's who I'm good at. And I mean, I could take a look at somebody's P&L and I can, from the P&L, I can see all kinds of major money leaks in there. Once I come and visit, I mean, it's a wrap, right? Because my vision is colored like that into lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, the Toyota way, stuff like lean principles, lean management. I'm into that stuff, right? Because here's why. When you're doing multiple millions, right? If you're doing just a little bit, it's like being on a sailboat, right? There's not a whole lot of wind blowing. So you turn the sail, nothing really happens, right? I mean, it starts to meander, it starts to go the way. But when you're doing multiple millions, it's like the wind picks up. So one little slight adjustment of the sail and the ship goes boom, right? Because when you start adding percents, 2%, 3% saving on a $10 million or $20 million operation, you're literally putting paper millions back in your pocket and back in your company, right? So it's those little things. So that's sort of like what I specialize in, and I enjoy helping people in that, and I enjoy helping them, delegate, automate, eliminate their procedures, and step back, because, like I said, it's a mental thing. It really is. It's a fear thing that people don't do it, right? And I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to own a high-paying job. Right. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to, be at all my daughters, all my kids' events, watch them grow up, go to their games, know my wife, take my wife out on dates. Right. I'm not trying to be out there with a flashlight, digging a hole. Right. And that's not why we got into this. Right.
Those days are done. Those days are, I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
The job is still due tomorrow.
It's not why we got in it. Right. But, people get caught up in they get caught up in it, They think, oh, well, I'm saving all this money. No, you're not. You're not saving money by doing the work out there. You are costing your company is what you're really doing. That's the facts, right?
Right.
That's the facts.
I mean, man, that's some good stuff. That's some good stuff. So where's your next like speaking event?
Oh, I know I got 4 of them. Believe it or not, the next one, this one's a little bit odd. I'm actually going to speak at a church.
Okay.
So I agreed to it, although I got to talk to the pastor and make sure that what I'm going to say is appropriate. Which I don't have a problem, because God's part of my story. But yeah, it's going to be at a church. And that's coming up shortly. So I did 4 already. I got 4 more booked.
So you got 4 under your belt already, man. You've been doing this for 3 months now? 3 months?
Dude, I mean, I did it last year for the first time.
At
It
that
might have
summit,
been,
right?
it might have been in September or October. And
Okay.
ever since then, I've had nonstop events planned. And who knows? I mean, speaking of the Mr. Fence Academy, I might show up down at that retreat and talk.
Okay.
That's what's up.
Heck yeah,
You
man.
know, I'll come down there and light that stage up.
There we go. There we go. Light it on fire, baby.
You go. I will absolutely be down. That'd be a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did speak to Sean about it, although, I haven't firmed nothing up yet with him. But it's something, I would love to come down to that retreat and just murder that stage, right? And I think that I could change a lot of mindsets in there, right? Because that's what it's really about. It's about changing your mindset. I can't stress that enough, right? Because the real changes when you change the way that you think for real, your whole world begins to transform around you, right? It starts right here.
Absolutely.
The changes happen on the inside and manifest on the outside. Right?
Absolutely.
That's not the other way around, right? It doesn't work like that. Private victories come before public victories. That's always a fact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that so many people are so reserved, or I love it because you don't know, or you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And you have to be willing to hear it, to understand it, to implement it. You have to be willing to say, wow, I've sucked at this now. Okay, well, now that you know you've sucked at it, now it's time to start getting better at it. Now it's time to start doing it. And if you don't, at that point, you have no one else to blame but yourself. Having that knowledge of what you're doing wrong, not fixing it, well, that's just your own fault at that point.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And, guys, it's not rocket science. I mean, there's people out here that are at or have been to where you're trying to go already, right? There's literally step-by-step guides on how to get there. Although people won't do it,
Right.
So it's out there. I mean, the people are out there, the stuff's out there, the material's out there. So, I mean, all you got to do is repeat it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, all the greatest, all the knowledge in the world is in books, man. I gotta do is and what's great is even now you don't have to take the time to open a book. Like I do a lot of books on tape, like books on tape somewhere. It's audio books.
Cassette.
You find yourself driving, and so what I did was like, all right, well, I'm not gonna jam out. I'm not gonna listen to the radio. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to start listening to audiobooks because I was realizing that's a large part of my day is driving around, checking on things, going places, doing this, doing that. And I was like, hell, if I can multitask, I can be driving and listening. And I'm on book number 3 for the year, I think. I want to say I'm number 3 for the year.
Yeah.
But then the guy who has a building next door, I talk to him all the time. He goes, yeah, I'm on number 10. I'm like,
huh.
He started on the 10th book for the year.
Yeah.
I'm like,
a lot of books.
That's a lot of books, man. I'm telling you what.
But he's it's funny. He is in the flooring world. He's kind of like you. He's got 3-4 locations now.
Yeah.
He just opened up the one right next door. I've known the man for about 10 years, and he's just like you. It's so funny. He's just started getting into speaking engagements. He's the you of the flooring world. It's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, man. He's a good guy too, and he knows his stuff as well.
Yeah. Well, think about it. The flooring world is the same thing. They're doing the same thing we're doing, right?
Yeah.
But they're selling floor. You go to these big companies up here. It's like Corporate Tile Mart, right? You go in there. Somebody, a contractor comes in there to buy the material. They upsell the material. They sell the job. They subcontract the job out to subs who put the floors in for them. It's the same model. They're wholesaling, they're retailing, and they got subcontractors out there putting in floors.
Yep. And he has one or two in-house crews that do all of his stuff. And he runs it through different businesses. It's 2 totally different companies that has it. And he has one company that sells, one company that installs, and he sells the that's exactly what you said. That's what he does. And he has a couple
same business model we're doing.
And I've got him on the other side of this wall right here.
Absolutely. He is right on the other side of this wall.
Yep.
I forgot we're on the
business is business, man. It's all the same. Business is business.
It's so funny because I've talked to you in the past, and you've talked about how having like your daily affirmations and different things that you do on a daily basis, ultimately not just for yourself, but just good karma, just, just clearing the air and those stuff. And it's so funny. Mr. J Pat next door, he does a lot. It's so funny how the simulators between you two. And that's where I was like, man, all right, there's two different people, two different worlds, two different two different businesses, and they're all preaching the same thing. I need to start listening to these people. What books are you reading? What are you learning? What do you know that I don't know that I need to know?
Right.
And until you start putting yourself into those circles, until you start putting yourself, into that limelight of that stuff, you won't know it. It's just
Right.
like with
Yeah.
podcasting. Billy didn't really know what was going on podcast, in the beginning, watched, learned, and now look where he's at, 6 months later.
Yeah.
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 Faith without works is dead. So, knowing it's one thing, but doing it's another. Right.
Yes,
And so you gotta put the action in.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And I remember, even before I even told my wife that I even wanted to do the podcast, I knew about it, and I was like, I started going live a lot.
a lot more Facebook lives. You really did. That was
A lot.
Yeah.
I was getting my feet wet into having people watch me live, and I was making sure that I was
too.
going over 5 and 6 minutes. That way I would get people on there. And then after I was like, okay, cool, I can do this. I don't care if somebody has something negative to say. I'm just going to keep doing what I do. And, that's when I told my wife after that is, like after I did a couple months of those live videos 3 and 4 times a week,
Mhm.
and it was just a progression thing, and it just my confidence built and built and built and built and built, and it was just a snowball effect.
Right. Well, Mr. David, I know you're in your podcast booth now. How many episodes are you in on your podcast, sir?
Oh, I
That's
have no idea. I actually laid off that part a little bit just because we built out that big studio at our warehouse, and we're getting ready to launch that. I'm telling you, I got 50K wrapped up in that studio already. I mean, between cinema cameras, we have a Black Magic cinema camera, all kinds. Some of those lenses were like, $2,000+. Then we got three. Yeah, we got 3 4K cameras to get all the angles. We had that room remodeled, new floors put in, painted. We got acoustical stuff in and bass traps and lighting. We got a table that had the whole podcast table built in the front so we could stand there, and stools and
You have like
computers
a
and
newscaster table, don't you?
a what?
You have like a newscaster like table set up, something that you would see on like the news or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty serious.
Yeah.
I thought the hard part was going to be building the studio. That wasn't. Then I said, okay, the hard part's going to be getting all this equipment in here, running all these wires. We ran over 800 foot of cords. And then I said, okay, that's not it either. Right. But getting all this stuff to jive, these live pro camera mixers and, things to switch videos up, and all the software in the computer that goes with those specific things. So setting up the whole software is another thing, right?
Yeah.
And it keeps growing and growing, and we're almost ready to watch it or to launch it, and it's gonna be fun, man. We're just gonna, we're having fun with it at work. We're branding, we're bringing people on there. We're allowing them to tell their stories, their business startups, and wherever it takes us, right? We don't take ourselves that serious. They're going to be live productions. If somebody says some shit on there that they weren't supposed to say, well, oh well, right? We've all embarrassed ourselves majorly before, so who the hell cares anymore? So we're just having fun with it, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, man, your studio looks phenomenal so far. I can't wait to see it done and up and running. I bet that's
Heck yeah.
that's gonna be nice.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some bloopers on there and some technical difficulties.
Hey man, that's what we got the Roadcaster for, right? Where's the
Oh, I love that Roadcaster, man. I love it. It's so
There we
easy to use too.
Yes,
It's
it
probably the
is.
easiest piece of equipment because I've worked in sound studios and sound booths. I used to, work the sound room for the churches, and there was big, huge mixing boards in there that had mechanical switches on them, and I had to control the lighting and put together programs for the lights and the sconces, the microphones, cameras, everything back there. So this thing is a breeze compared to that.
Oh, dude, it is awesome. And like the funny thing is I like dabbled around in like music production like 15 years ago. So I've had an MPC pad. I've had even like had like the ones that you had to like road load a like floppy drive in to get your
Oh
pads
boy.
and everything. So I had some experience, and whenever I hooked this up the first time, I was like, man, this is legit plug and play. I
Oh,
was like,
heck yeah.
you can just straight drag something into my garage band, rip it down, and put it right on one of these pads in like 30 seconds. And
Yeah.
that literally used to take me like 5 minutes per
Oh, yeah.
pad back like 15 years ago. So
Yeah.
I was I was I was really amazed whenever I first hooked it up, and I was just like, oh man, this is just straight plug and play.
Dude, I love it. You plug your cell phone right into it, have a conversation over the phone. I was gonna bring this studio and use some of the stuff over there, but I said, you know what? I use this so much. I'm just gonna buy all new stuff, right?
Right.
And can just keep it set up because honestly, like if I got a lot of phone calls to make, I'll work on my computer and I'll have my earphones and my microphone, and so I could talk to people at the same time and have good quality noise and it's a soundproof
Oh,
room and so
there
I
you
could
go.
get a lot of work done down here if I need to get a lot of work, right?
Right, right.
Absolutely. I can imagine
And
that hyper focus in that quiet room, just boom.
Yeah, just
Absolutely.
go to town, punch out
so
list and get it done.
I don't know how much video stuff you guys do for advertising, but I just downloaded what is that Rode app
Banging
I
and banging, brother.
downloaded? The Rode Capture app, and it is an awesome video capture app. Like it lets you do the dual screen recording at the same
Uh-huh.
time. That way they're like looking at me and they're also looking at what I'm looking at as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
So check that out as well because it just plugs right up to your Rodecaster as well. So like you can just
Yeah.
transfer stuff back and forth. It was really cool when I found that, and I made 3 videos on that
Yeah, he
like
sent
app
them today.
today
Yeah.
actually. Uh, really cool stuff. But
Yeah.
you got
So,
anything else?
oh yeah, I mean, so I'm just overall curious, Mr. Dave. I know we've talked a lot about what you've done, where you've been, your stories. You know what I mean? You're up, everything you came from, what you've built. You know what? And everybody has these big ass goals. I know I've got big ass goals. You know what I mean? You have the ones that you have to, what it seems like all what would be everybody else's big ass goal. Mr. David Gatto has done, wrote the book on it. You know what I mean? Follow me. What do you look? What are you striving for? What do you want? What is your big ass goal?
You know, I thought about that, and I mean, I'm an entrepreneur through and through, right?
Yes, sir.
Because honestly, man, I could stop what I'm doing right now and sell everything and live for a very long time. And at the level of living that I am now. But there's just some part of me that it doesn't stop, right? It just
Right.
wants to grow and grow and grow, right? And it's not about the money, right? The money, it was never about the money for me. Um, Money was a byproduct of
The freedom.
of giving a good service, right? Um, my goal, is to just I'll put it to you like this, right? Because of that decision that I made to start my business, my kids and their families will be forever changed, right? They'll have an opportunity like we never had, right? To, go into a multi-million dollar operation if they so choose decide to do that, right? And keep that going, right? So, my goal is just to build something that I can leave behind, right? That's uh, you know, because the Gatto name wasn't a good name before, but now it is, right? And to
Right.
um build something that people are proud of, and that's just my goal, to have freedom with my family, and which I have. Right? And so, like, whenever I'm doing something, whenever I'm taking something on, I always ask myself this one question. I say, how much of my time is this going to take? Right? Um, is there a way that I can do this, that I could delegate this out, that this operation can run automated without my presence? Right? Because then it's an asset. Right? An asset is something that makes you money while you're not present. right? And you could do something else. So, I always ask myself that when I'm getting into a new endeavor, how much of my time is this going to take? And can I build it out so I don't have to be there? Right. Those are important questions to me. But honestly, my goal is to I guess you call it a legacy, right? Building something from nothing and having something to pass down to my kids and their kids. And, you know, um, I bought a Clark forklift last year. And I remember coming out and looking at that Clark forklift and seeing on the side of that, emblazoned on the side of that, it said 50 years in business. It might have been more than that.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself, I said, holy crap, like this is a legacy right
Mm-hmm.
here. This
Okay.
is something that's going to be around for a very long time after these people are gone. Who started it? I mean, that's my goal, man, is to just build a legacy for my family
That's
and for
amazing.
their families, and because it's really not about the money. Money never made me happy, right? I mean, it
Right.
doesn't. Shopping doesn't make me happy. The cars don't make me happy. It's the relationships that I have with people, the relationships that I have with my family, the relationships, the things that we're doing with our money,
Yes, sir.
Right.
right?
Right.
Through our business, right? The donating, the Toys for Tots, the helping people, giving them careers. It's just shit like that, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I love it. I love it.
You said you want people to be proud of you, man. I know I'm proud to be your friend. I consider you a friend. I mean, but how much you and I have
Absolutely.
talked last while. I'm proud of you. I know Mr. Billy is, and so many other fence professionals around the country are as well too, man. So your legacy is definitely one in the making. And man, I'm excited to just be able to be on your sidelines, watching and cheering you on for everything that you guys got what you got going on between your business, between the Let Go to Grow, the speaking. Like, man, I'm here for it, man. I like it.
Hey, man, wherever it goes, it goes. I'm just going with the flow.
Heck yeah. All right. Well,
Mr. David, do you have any questions for us?
yeah, man. You got anything for us?
You know what? I know you guys pretty well. So I really don't have any questions. I know where you guys are at and what you're doing. Um, I really like the fact, with Corey, I was able to have those conversations with him, right? And changing his mindset, when he hurt his leg, right? And, being able to show him that this is an opportunity to grow and this isn't something that's going to stop you, right? This is an opportunity to show you something, right? And so, I know you guys on a personal level and, I really don't have any questions. I think you guys answered them all.
Heck yeah,
Excellent.
man. That's a good thing to hear. Well, guys, if you do want to follow David, here is his company's website. If you want to order something, and you guys service what, 4, 5 states, is it now?
Oh man, we're all over the place. Maryland, Washington, Delaware, Virginia. We ship tractor trailer loads across the United States. 53-foot tractor trailers anywhere. Get them to you in 3 days.
Okay, so
So
we're
we do a lot of that.
okay.
Uh,
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So we're mainly talking about the DMV area though, right?
yeah, and so so what we do with that service right there, that's good because we'll typically bring out a Moffett truck for that, and so we sell a lot of job lots to those states, right? Because
Right.
eh, contractors can't be affording to come and sitting in line at a place, picking stuff up, then having to go to Lowe's, get concrete, and they get over to job site. It's 12 o'clock. They don't really get nothing done. So we're able to provide that service where we say, hey, give us an address and we supply everything. The concrete, the fence, bring it there. So we could show up when they're there and then stage it with a Moffett all over the yard for them.
That's
And
awesome.
and that's our model for job lotting. And then the wholesale side, we ship tractor trailers across the United States. Homeland, Barrett, stuff like that.
All right. Well, guys, if you're interested, there is the website to go check out. If you're interested in some consulting, here is the website to check out. I'm interested. I need to get a copy of your book, Mr. Gatto. I
Oh,
haven't read a book
absolutely.
in years and years and years, and I'm going to read yours.
There's
I'm
good
not going to
stuff in
lie.
that book, and also too on that website, we have an actual virtual MBA, so a Master's in Business Administration's 52-week course in there with testing, podcasts, tutorials, screen recordings, all the good stuff that you can get in there. I mean, it's like going to college and getting all the fat cut out, because they sell you all that crap in college. You got to take English 101 and English 102. You got to take stuff that's irrelevant to business. So there's that on there too. You guys check it out.
Oh man, that's awesome, dude. That's like a
I didn't know.
total. That's a total
Dude, I
bonus.
spent a lot of time building that site out, and I just it was all fully together when 1 minute I was coaching, the next second I had a full coaching service with class, websites, everything, CRMs, drip sales, drip campaigns, nurturing campaigns. I didn't put it out till it was ready.
Oh man. Oh
That is
man. Well, I'm
awesome.
excited to pick your brain on some private messages about that here in the coming coming future.
Yeah,
Other than
sure.
that, man, I don't have anything else. Corey, you got anything else?
Man, just you and I need to schedule another Zoom meeting here soon. We haven't talked in a couple weeks, and
Yeah.
decided to tell you what all we've done, what all we've messed up, what all we figured out, what all we
Yeah.
fixed. It's
Yeah.
been, I tell you, starting off at the beginning of the year, it was a broken. It was like restarting the business from scratch all over again.
That's
And
absolutely what it was.
and it's we're only 9 weeks into it now. I'm 8 weeks post-op, 9 weeks post. I don't know.
8.
And 8 weeks post-op, and it's what you and I have managed to achieve in just that 8 weeks, and the fact that shit, we're still in business, we're still here,
And we're still getting paychecks.
and we didn't. It's been tight, but it's been made it.
Hey.
It's been
Right.
the fact that we were down and out for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite, as I coming off a hard winter, or going into a hard winter off a rough year, man. I tell you what, everything you've said has been, as I'm bear to witness of what Mr. David has been preaching, what's in his books, the rules, the orders, the process, the procedures. Like, you're not going to get it off whoever, this is actually a little PSA for everybody who's wanting to reach out to Mr. David or read his books and all that. For somebody who has done it, and has spoken to him, these things work if you're willing to work it.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I was propped up with my leg up for however many weeks, and that's all I had time to do was sit there and try to figure this stuff out.
And don't get discouraged if it doesn't work the first time.
Get discouraged. No, I say I'm the opposite. Is that I am my own worst critic. I will talk shit to myself so bad, and it's just a matter of that's how I push myself to be better. So if I mess up, I'm like, dumb.
Oh man, we're just we're just jotting down notes of things we need to change every job.
Yeah, man. This is the funnest part of the whole journey, man. Where you guys are at, this is the funnest part. This is when you got your back up against the wall, you are forced to get creative. You are forced to think outside the box. That's where all the growing happens. Say, all right, I got enough for my rent. I got enough for my groceries. I got enough for payroll. I got enough for my next material order. I got it. How am I going to get it? Right. And it forces you out of the box. This was the funnest part of my company. Just building it, holding on to my seat of my pants.
Let me rephrase that. That's where we've been back to.
Yeah.
Because we've all been through that in the beginning, and now we're in our 5th year. And it's so funny how you said that 5 years you did $1 million. Man, at 5 year at the 5 year mark, we did 1.2 this past year. And the brokest we've ever been. I'm like, that is so true how that happened. And then we spin it with the injury where I snapped my leg, and it's like, shit, we're really starting from scratch all over.
Starting from scratch. But you know what? It's a good start from scratch, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I am so excited for what 2024 has to come.
We pulled over on the side of the road 2 weeks ago and just went fishing in the middle of the day. It's like, we have an hour and a half before our next estimate. Let's pull over and do some fishing. Hold on.
Yeah, we did. It was a great time.
Have fun.
It was a great time, man. It was a great time. Well,
I know we gotta go. I'm sorry,
Mr. David. I very much appreciate you for coming on the show and talking to us for a nice hour. Again, I'm gonna drop. It's going to be Let Go to Grow, and then futuresolutionsfence.com, guys. If you want to check Mr. David out, go to these 2 links. And other than that, guys, we will see you later, Mr. David. Thank you again for coming on.
Thanks again, guys, for having me. It's been wonderful. Have a great night, guys.
All right, buddy. You too.
Yep. See you.
Oh man, that was a good interview, dude.
He's so much fun to talk to.
That was a good one.
I don't know, 4 or 5 Zoom meetings or last year and a half with Mr. David, and this is a plethora of knowledge on every single one. And trying to figure out how this thing sounds best.
Say condenser mic, so you're gonna have to talk straight into it.
Condenser mic?
Yep, there we go.
All right,
you got it.
But the Zoom meetings are just like that. When we have our FaceTime calls, they always last a little bit longer because there's always more that you want to say.
Right.
That conversation can go on and on and on, and it's never a dull moment. It's always good stuff. It's always good parables, good analogies, good, everything that you need. And what's so funny is where he is so good at public speaking and public talking is that he has the ability, is borderline like at church, we're like, damn, this dude's talking right to me. Like, you ever had that when you were a kid at church?
Right.
You're like, this dude's in my head.
Yep.
It's like that same thing, because it shows you where you already know where the magic happens, because it's just like I said, it's the magic happens in the work that you're avoiding,
Right.
and it's proof in the pudding right there, man. That's it. Got a lot of comments on.
We got a lot of comments to get to. I don't think we're gonna get to all of them, but everybody, thank you for commenting. James Scott Phillips, I saw you with some popcorn. What's going on, buddy? Mr. Robert Evers, what is going on, buddy?
Hello.
Noah Divine was
Noah
in here. Mr. Steele.
Is Chris in there?
You like the sign, buddy?
What's up, friends? Hi.
But yeah, man, we had a lot of comments tonight. If I didn't get to you, I'm pretty sure I posted just about every single one, but we didn't talk to them.
There's Dan hanging and banging, brother.
Hanging and banging, brother. We got Josh Rand. There we go. What's going on, Mr. Josh Rand?
I've never
is
talked
Utah?
to Mr. Josh. I've never talked to him. I've seen him all the time in the fence world and on the page and all that. I don't think him and I have ever had a conversation.
Oh, all right. Well,
have him on one of these days.
Just might have to do that. All right, we got Mr. Noah Divine. David's story is very inspiring. Absolutely is, and no matter how many times I hear it, it's like the first time hearing it all over again, and it's a great story every single time I hear it.
Is that Mr. Sean saying what's up? Good show. Good Good.
What's going on, Mr. King? How was your training day today? I saw you out there today. Good show. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, guys. So if you do want to follow us, which would be awesome for anybody to do, it is completely free for follow, subscribe, hit that ring notification bell. If you're on YouTube, you can go to gatekeeperpodcast.com and you can find all of our links, or any way to listen to us if the audio format is your go-to. We're on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, basically anything that has audio podcasts we're on. As far as video wise, we're on Facebook and YouTube. There's a merchandise store there as well. I mean, I keep going the wrong way. But just give us a like, a click, a follow. Everything helps. And Corey, you got anything else?
Man, just thank you for letting me be part of this. I know I got some big shoes to fill in, with Dan being out and you're stepping out, and I got some big shoes to fill. And I'm just happy to be here, man. Thank you so much. Really
all right, guys. Well, hey, we are going to mix it up since we got a nice Go ahead, bro. Since we got a nice professional intro. No. Hit that top one. Boom.